Hi, I'm Sarah Bilodeau, a drama therapist at Nature's Playhouse. This is part two of a video series on how to help our child when they have big feelings and big behaviors. In this series, I say more about a blog article I wrote that's on Nature's Playhouse website because there is so much that can be said about this topic. The link to this article is below this video. So today, we'll focus on supporting ourselves as parents and caregivers when our child has big feelings and behaviors. Taking a moment to do this is really important because our child's behaviors can stir up reactions in us, and it's hard to help a situation if our emotions are running high and remain unchecked. So we're going to look at this today and the benefits of this practice. So let's get into it. Self-regulation is one way to support ourselves, and that is an awareness of what's going on for us. That includes our emotions, thoughts, sensations, behaviors, and it's an ability to shift and balance these. It's a skill and an internal support system that we can develop any time. When we are regulating, we can feel our feelings and we are not overtaken or overwhelmed by them. It's like catching the impulse instead of reacting instantly on the impulse. This allows us to create some space where we can think about and choose how we want to show up in that situation with our child. So there's 3 steps that I'd like to share with you today about self-regulation, and these are to attune inwards, to allow and acknowledge, and finally, to soothe our internal experience. So step 1, to attune inwards. Here, we turn our attention inside ourselves with curiosity. We notice the signs of what it feels like in our body and mind in the moment. Am I tensing up? Is my heart racing? Do I feel an urge to yell at my child or to give in? Does my mind go blank? Do I have thoughts that blame the child or me or have judgments about the situation? Step 2. We allow ourselves to experience the sensations, thoughts, and feelings, and to acknowledge what's there. It's okay to feel. That does not mean that we express ourselves in an unbridled way. On the contrary, this asks us to pause with what is. It's like feeling our feelings and observing them as they unfold. We can feel, sense, and watch. We can also name what's there if we want, like, I feel worried or I feel tense. We can also use an image to represent what might be happening inside of us, as sometimes it's hard to find the words for what we feel. Are the sensations like a fire? Or does it feel like I'm frozen and it's like a big block of ice in my body? When we can connect with our internal experience, we are validating it. And once we can be with what is happening, we can then choose what we want to do about it. This leads us to step 3, to soothe our internal experience. There are different ways that we can do this. We might roll our shoulders back or relax our face. We might open the jaw a little. We can place a hand on our heart or take deep abdominal breaths with long exhales to slow our breathing. We might speak to ourselves with compassion, with ideas like, I see you. I can get through this. I can be steady. I'm good enough. If we used an image to represent our feelings, we can visualize something that might relate to it, like I'm calming the flames, or I'm melting what feels frozen in my body. And if we tend to freeze or to shut down and zone out, we might want to move a little to get back into the now. Or if we get charged up on offense and become aggressive, we might rather try to pause to find stillness. With our child nearby, we might say out loud what we're doing, or we might invite them to do it too. For example, I feel like we're both really upset right now. How about we take some breaths? I know I will. And see what happens. You can experiment to find what supports you and to be patient with yourself in the process. When our child's feelings and behaviors stir up feelings and reactions in us, taking a moment to regulate ourselves can make a whole difference. Now let's look at this and some benefits of this practice. In the moment, it can reduce the intensity of our feelings, help them be heard and to move along. It can ground us and help us recover after our nervous system was shaken up. It can connect us to ourselves and help us to stay in our body. Imagine practicing this regularly, how it can support our sense of self and trust in our capacities. As it can link us with our strength, it can connect us to this feeling of power inside ourselves that we can hold our feelings and help them pass, even when they get intense. It can also build relationship with our feelings, where we can see that they don't have to take over and dictate how we act. It's like coming back into our home, and the feelings are like visitors that come and go. Regulating ourselves can also help us be more steady and not as easily thrown off by our child's behaviors. And if we do get thrown off, this can bring us back to center. In this center, there might be a quiet place that feels safe. And in cultivating this, it can bring greater peace to our inner climate. Over time, self-regulation develops a cycle and a neural pathway that our body comes to know. That when there's displeasure or emotional pain even, there can be soothing and restoration. And this expands our capacity to be with our feelings and sensations in ways that can feel more tolerable. And this can help us to work through feelings, thoughts, and sensations. It also nourishes our bodies and minds by supporting our self-awareness, agency, our mood, energy, sleep, and resilience. It's like feeding our inner terrain with wholesome nutrients, creating conditions for things to grow, like our well-being and kind ways of relating to ourselves and others. It allows us to possibly respond to ourselves in ways that are different to how we were responded to as children, giving ourselves what we might have needed. It also helps us to take responsibility for our feelings and how we handle and express ourselves. Self-regulation helps us take care of our health, and it helps our child tremendously. Firstly, it models and teaches social emotional skills because they can learn so much just by watching us. And when they have big feelings and big behaviors, being regulated settles us. And this readies us to become present with them in the moment when they're struggling. It brings us to the here and now, where we can be connected to our child and ourselves. This can help us to access our emotional availability for our child. It creates this space inside of ourselves where we can more easily be thoughtful, intentional, assertive, and patient with our child. It can open us up to start sensing what might be happening for our child. And it can help us to attune more attentively to their internal experience. This can help us to acknowledge their feelings. And when we can feel or sense their feelings, it can help us to understand how these might be contributing to the behaviors that we see. When we can sense and understand their feelings and sensations, it can guide us to feel how we might help them and what their needs might be. Also, when we are calm enough, our child's nervous system can pick that up and start to feel settled slowly. They can feel our calm, and it can feed them and help them reach their inner calm. All of this can help their big feelings and big behaviors to soften gradually. When we regulate, we can be there for them when they are struggling. This fosters the parent-child relationship, their secure attachment, their sense of worth, empathy, social emotional development, and so much more. When we show up for ourselves, it helps us show up for our children and in our lives with greater presence and compassion. It turns tough moments and conflicts in a family into opportunities, and it builds the tools that can serve the family a lifetime. This brings us to the end of our video today. Thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this video, please subscribe to Nature's Playhouse YouTube channel and look out for future videos. I tried to stack up the books of some of the researchers and practitioners that influenced the ideas that are in this video that I've combined with some of my thoughts that I've developed in my practice over the years. And if you want to read more, I've written the names of these authors below the video. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.